Welcome, Wapplers from around the world. This is our February 2023 Wappler Meetup. Paul Strydom, known in the community as PS Web, is doing a follow-on video to his very unique way of building complex CMS websites. I would like to now turn the meetup over to Paul. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. So yeah, basically what sort of happened on my side was I needed a way to give my customers a content management system, and they had pretty normal needs, I suppose. They needed to be able to create new pages. They needed to edit certain SEO data within the pages, and so forth. And I also needed a quicker sort of way of building websites where they were kind of just standardized websites and not actual like applications as such. And so following on from the last video that I did, pretty much what I decided to do was leverage how Bootstrap actually works and how the framework is structured. And so I made a sort of a structure that worked in the same sort of way. So we start off with in the Bootstrap structure where we've got one table over here, which is page content A, and this is literally all your containers. So this table just holds a bunch of containers, and I'm not sure how well everyone can see, but pretty much the only thing that's in here really is some classes and some styles and things like that. It's nothing really too major as far as the container side goes, and it can take a container or a container fluid. And then within a container, we obviously have a row, and so you've got page content B, which has all the rows stored within here. And obviously you can have one-to-many relationships, so you can have 10 rows inside one container. So there you would have one container and 10 rows over here. And then within here you've got your columns. Your columns get a little bit more complicated, obviously, because some columns are going to house links, some are going to house buttons, some are going to house images, but most of them are just going to be a standard sort of column. And I needed a smart sort of way to build it. So I'm just going to delete everything out of this database quickly, just so.
You're talking about dropshipping.
Sorry, what was that?
Nothing, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so pretty much what happens here is that I've created this little CMS. Now, obviously, this is a dummy CMS that I've just thrown together for you guys quickly, just so you can roughly see. The real one is obviously a lot prettier, but I can't share that with you. But in essence, it's as simple as select a first tier URL. We don't have one, so nothing comes up in the list. So we create the first tier URL. What do we actually want the URL name to be? In this case, it'll be the first page, so it's going to be home. Before I actually add the page, if you look at the database, we've got a URL1 table over here. And if we refresh that, that is totally empty, as is URL 2, 3, 4. We've got a main header image table with nothing in it, a meta page creation table, which holds all the metadata with nothing in it. Page content A has nothing in, and B and C. So as we go and actually add this URL, so I'm going to add that over there and refresh this page because I didn't do it very smart. But you will notice here that now we'll actually have a URL1 over here. So URL1 is called home. There will be nothing in URL 2 or 3, as it's just the first tier type of URL, as is 4. There's no header image, and there's the meta content on it over there. Right now, the meta content is very, very light. Obviously, it's just the title of home, the description of home. The site name is just home. So everything is just literally taken home as its sort of start. And if you look at the Wappler file for this, what you will notice is, let's go to sorry, let's go to the main, hide out all this so you can actually see something. And what you'll see here is obviously that we've got a description over there, which is pulling directly in from the Node.js side, from the actual server action. We've got the image source, the site name, the title, the org description. So all of the open graph tags are sitting over there. We've got all the Twitter style type tags sitting over there. Your robots and canonicals, most of those are just standardized. However, the URLs are dynamic. So those pull in dynamically. The published type of times and that are also all dynamic. So everything kind of works on social media platforms, etc. The the roots side of this is pretty simple. It's literally just your page ID a question mark. So you start off colon and end in a question mark. So it's page ID A, could have page ID B, could have page ID C, and page ID D, basically. So it's pretty much a 4-tier deep sort of system. So if you wanted to add more depth to it, you could add page ID E, F, G, H, I, J. I only need up to say four different areas there. And if you look at the routing side of this, it's also, again, it's actually pretty simple from the roots perspective. It's literally just my one route, which is my content management system. My second route pulls in the page ID A, B, C, D, and it just runs all these things, then finds the title from the content page creation table and the description and site name, etc., etc. And all that obviously is a server-side sort of action. So all that runs before the page actually loads. So if I'm back on the CMS now, and we take a look here, what do we want to do now? So we're going to choose the home page URL and say that that's the page that we want to deal with. We want to add in some standard meta tags over here. So this is, if you are taking over a site and it already had a URL, it's kind of handy to put in sort of the old URL. So especially if we're going to get old meta tags, etc. So I'm just going to put in Wappler's URL for this one. And we can go home title, home description. So choose an image for it. I'm actually just going to drag an image from my desktop here. This is one of the Wappler images. This architecture 2 image that they sort of provide you. It's that little one over there. And then the same thing, open graph type tags, home title, I'll call it Facebook, so we actually know that it's the Facebook one. Sorry, that's actually the site name. Sorry, this is when you actually have like a proper site name for it. So Facebook on the open graph tags, everything has a site name. So this will be whatever the actual site name is for the Facebook page. You know, company name. I don't know what it's going to be in this particular case. And then there's the title. So home title Facebook. Home description, Facebook. That's the type of tag that it is. It's a website type tag. We'll put the same architecture picture inside there. Twitter tags, same thing. It's the site name. So whatever that may be, it normally starts with an @ company name, whatever it is. Home title, Twitter, home description, Twitter, and it's a summary large type card, and we'll throw the same image in there. Now, we've thrown in the same image 3 times. Each of these images requires a slightly different size. Other than in this particular case, the standard rel type of meta tags take a 1200 by 627, as well as the open graph tags take a 1200 by 627. However, you can see the Twitter tags takes a maximum of 4096 by 4096. or 5 megabytes, whichever comes first. If I had to look at the actual Finder side of this, and before I actually do anything, what you'll notice here is in my public folder, I've got an uploaded assets folder over here. And I'll take these out because that was for my own testing. In fact, I'll take out the entire folders on that. But this is literally my upload folder from actual Wappler. So if you look at the project settings here, you will see that that is the same folder over there. So this is the sort of user uploads folder within Docker. So there I've got nothing in there at the moment. If I go to the website and I save that meta change over there, what you will notice is that you should now start finding within the actual Finder, we've got a meta images folder created. Inside there, we've got a og.rel tw, and each one has its own image. And as you can see, the sizes are quite different, 113K, 637K for the big 4096 by 4096 And obviously you can choose whatever sort of sizes you want or whatever you're comfortable with doing. From a database perspective, what that's actually done is it has gone to this meta page creation table and it's just added the extra data and edited this. So there's the company name, there's the Twitter title, etc., etc. And if you had to look at the website itself at this point and refresh the page, you're pretty much seeing nothing. There's no header image. There's no anything. This stuff is all hard-coded in there at the moment into the actual site because the navigation I didn't bother doing in the actual CMS at that time. I have actually done it later on. But nothing really shows because obviously there is nothing to show, but you can see in the text up here, this physically says home title over here. And obviously if you looked at the inspector, you would see that all the meta tags have actually been changed. If we then continue on this page and say, okay, now what do we want to do? We want to add an image. So I've just said create a dummy image. We will use a slightly different image this time. Let's say that one. So I'm going to throw that image in there. It automatically puts in the alternate text from the name. So architecture-3, it just drops the hyphen and makes it a space. But obviously you can change the alternate text to whatever you want. Architecture, custom, header, image, text. So whatever you want that to be. Save the main image. If you go back to the database at this point, you will see that we now have a main header image over here. And there it is over there. It's got the actual URL to where that is. It's got, sorry, that's the alt. It's got the URL over there and everything links up to primary and secondary keys. If you look at the Finder again, you will notice now there's a header images folder and inside there, it's uploaded the physical image. And obviously, if you look at the actual website itself and refresh that, the new image comes up. So that way, obviously, I can add my main header image, which is before all the content, obviously. It can have an alt tag and all my meta information for SEO. And then I start going and I start actually building out the page. So I can go and I can say, okay, I would like a basic type of block to begin with. The block name is going to be whatever, first block on my page. Sorry, how well can you actually hear me, guys? Because it is raining here quite badly.
We can hear you just fine,
I
Paul.
can hear you well.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, and then here, these are custom classes. For my own use, I've listed out a bunch of custom classes here that I would generally use. And this is just the background color of this sort of block. So let's say that I wanted to use the the lightest brown one. Actually, no, that's hard to see. Let's use the light pink one. So I want the light pink one. I want a margin at the bottom of 4. So I'm going to use the standard Bootstrap class of MB4. And obviously you can carry on and use any Bootstrap classes that you want. So if you wanted your own padding or whatever, you could add P-5 or whatever you want to add. So obviously knowing Bootstrap really does help. You can attach a little half circle to that. Again, the half circles have their own set of classes. So I'm going to take the same class and add it to that. And then we go and we attach an H1 type heading. So this does kind of check for me. It's looking at it and it's saying, how many H1 classes are already used? So it's telling me that the tag's already in use. I can use an H1. So let's go H1 there. This is a test heading. I may try switch over to headphones because I can actually hardly hear myself talk at this point. Let me just see if I can switch over, please.
Paul, if you're talking, we cannot hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Barely.
Can you hear me?
Oh, 5 by 5, loud and clear.
Perfect. Lovely. Okay, so we'll add this. This is a test heading over there. We're going to attach a paragraph to this. This can take actual tags. So if we add in a paragraph tag as an example, this is a nice paragraph, and close out the paragraph tag. Let's see. And then we can even put buttons. So we can say, okay, we would like 2 buttons on this particular one. What would you like the button text to be? So I can call this one button 1 if I want. This is going to take you to Google. This one is going to take you to Facebook as an example. We can put a title to it. Click here to go to Google. Click here to go to Facebook. And let's call this Facebook button. I'll change this to Google button. It makes more sense. And then we can create that actual block. Now, once we've created that block on the website, you can obviously see that there's that over there. I shouldn't have added the margin bottom of 4 because it put it in between there. But I can always go to the database and actually fix that. And obviously that's just an oversight on my own part. But as you can see, there's your Google button. It's got an actual title to it. There's your Facebook button. That's got a title. You can see that it is actually going to the right sort of link. So that's taking you to Facebook. That one's going to take you to Google. It's got the H1 type heading and it's got a paragraph. What that has done in the physical database itself is it's gone to primary page content A. And if I refresh this, it's added 2 containers. One is for the that pink little half circle because that requires a bit of CSS to actually make that work. I'm just going to take that margin bottom out over here quickly of the classes. It's then linked up primary page content B, and it says, okay, this is the first block on my page. That is 1 row. And that is a 2nd row over there. So it's literally put 2 actual rows for that, and then however many columns it required. So in order to do that, it's put a first column for my heading. You can see that the tag type was an H1. It's put a content for my paragraph. That is a span, and inside that span, I can have any number of HTML type of tags like P tags and break tags and all that. And it's going to respect all those. Each of the buttons is an A type of tag. you can see that I've got underscore self over here as a default. So if I wanted to, I could add in a system where I can change this to underscore blank if I preferred. And then this last one over here is just a div. And if you take a look, you can see that that div is all to do with that same sort of half circle. It's added in its own columns, its offsets. It's put in all the classes. So whatever class I physically chose, plus additional ones. Okay, so like I've already know that that type of block, in order to get the look and feel that the customer wanted, that particular block had to have certain things. So in my server action, I've already set that all up. And obviously there you can see the sort of result. And we can just carry on building and building and building on that as we go and say, okay, well, now the next type of block that I want is a basic images block, as an example. Sorry. Let's just go home. Basic images type of block. What type of block would it be? I can say left, right, or both. So let's say that I want a left one. I can call this block whatever. Second dash block test. Block order on pages 3. It automatically looks at the database. It says how many spaces are already gone on the ordering. So it knows that space 1 and space 2 are already gone. So it automatically goes to page 3. However, I can obviously override that if I want to. I don't have to put any classes on if I don't want. In this particular case, I'll probably put on a margin actually. And then it'll say, what image do I want for the left? So let me choose an image. Sorry, these are out of the Wappler ones. Those are a bit small. There we go. There's some bigger ones. So let's choose something like that. Pop that in there. There's no need for a half circle for that one. We could attach text to it again. So in this particular case, it's telling me that the tag that's already used on this page is an H1. So don't use another H1 from an SEO perspective. That would be a bad idea. So the next tag I'm going to use is an H2. And this is an image block heading. Attach a paragraph, close it out again, some nice text. And I don't need any buttons for this particular one, so let's just create it and see what it's obviously done. So here it's created an image, which is a background type of image. So it auto adjusts its height dependent upon how much text it actually sees in here. So obviously, if I had to go to the database and add in some more text, sorry, I went a bit past it. So if you look at my database now, it's only added one more container. For that one container, it's added in 2 more rows for that. You can see that that is a background style image over there with background size cover on it, no repeats. And then in order to make that work, it's added 2 more actual columns to it, just with the H tag and a span tag with the paragraph in. So you can literally go through and you can build and build and build on this thing as you sort of go. Just to make doubly sure here, just going to get some lorem text. I'm sure there's some here. Just get some of this type of text. No, don't really care. I'll just take all of that. And if I had to go here, let me just go to the top of this one. You should see that it should obviously use much more image now, because obviously it needs much more because of the amount of text. So literally I build all the pages. I build sort of a structure first within the database, obviously, and then I sit and I go through each and every page and I build each and every page, but my code base never actually changes. So in Wappler, literally, I'm only ever actually sitting with, in reality, my main page, which has, besides a lot of meta header information, there's not a lot actually to it. You know what I mean? I'm bringing in a tag manager and things like that, which is not a requirement for this, but I'm bringing in the browser extension, sessions, lightbox type of window. On the index side, I do obviously have a lot of different conditions. So I'm saying, you know, there's a condition here that when parameter ID A is there, then look for the word sitemap and then show the actual sitemap file, because the sitemap is a bit of a different type of a page, obviously. It's reading directly from the database in order to auto-generate the sitemap. And the same thing applies with certain odd pages. So the contact form pages, any page that has a form on, I've manually made up the form. I'm not trying to make a form within a content management system. I'm not taking it sort of that far yet. Any of the downloads are going directly through. And then everything else pretty much goes through just our normal one partial. So we've got a header block, which is always sitting there. And that header block is looking like this. Header block button logo. So I've literally just made up like a header block with an image that has some buttons on it. So as you can see, obviously it can do that and that with those two sort of buttons that are always on there for this particular customer. So that's sort of my header image. And then there's the booking buttons, etc. over there. But that never changes. I can add any amount of pages and any amount of header images to it, and this always remains the same. The code base stays. And then I've got the footer, which is on every single page. That code base never changes again. It's only database changes. The footer navigation, very simple, just a bunch of A tags with some hard-coded sort of stuff. I suppose the main area of this, where all the sort of magic happens, is this particular page. And here, I've in essence, I've got 4 different styles of block. So I started off with one, and let's say that this was my first one that I ever sort of used over there. And as I started building on it, I realized, hold on, I need a swiper component. And a swiper component I couldn't add like any other components. I had to add it separately. So I had to copy that whole code base over there and change it ever so slightly to add in the ability to be a swiper or the ability to be a masonry grid or anything like that. And pretty much an end result of that amount of code. I mean, as you can see, that's not really a lot of code to run a site of any size that you possibly want. You know what I mean? I'm running like probably 120 pages on a website, and that is the code that it runs off. It's literally that many lines. So I don't think that it's a lot of code for what it actually does. If you look at the actual customer's website, this particular one, let's say that it's this one. I have showcased this on Wappler too, but you can see that that is where I'm running this whole code base from. And you can see that's the same type of block that I made there. There's a virtual tour type of a block with 6 images that automatically get their correct sizes, can have paragraphs and buttons underneath. That's a basic type block again. That's that same left kind of block that I was showing you how to create. This is another kind of a block. I've forgotten what I called it, a 1 image block with insets, I think. So it insets the white over there. This block style is the same as this block style. It's a both image instead of a left image. So this one I can do a left, a right, or a both on the same block style. And it just runs through and it looks at the ordering of everything and just carries on adding. So yeah, so that's kind of how I built my website. And I mean, obviously you build the CMS first, and now I can just add and remove pages as I want and do whatever is needed. Any questions?
Let's start with John Stanton.
I've been so much looking forward to this. So thanks, Paul, for that.
No worries.
Couple of quick questions, if I may.
Yeah.
One, how quickly, if I said to you, right, here's a new website and I've designed the layout in Bootstrap and everything, so you've got the kind of template. How quickly would you have the Wappler version up and running for that? I appreciate you'd have to edit, change different blocks and whatever, but just the core, do you kind of have a boilerplate that you just duplicate and start from there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know that I kind of run it like a bit of a production line. So, my customers, because I'm awful at design, they will generally provide me a design completely done in something like Adobe InDesign. However, I don't expect them to do things like resize their images correctly, etc., etc. So what I would generally kind of do is I would start off by opening up their 50 different InDesign pages. And I would start off and I would go and I would create all the URLs first for every single page as sort of my first step. And obviously because these URLs can go first tier, second tier. So if I wanted a second tier URL, that's to create a first tier one. But obviously I could say from home, I would like to then add on top of home a second tier. And I could say, okay, it's going to be home/products. You know what I mean? I know you wouldn't really do that, but I would go and I would create all my different, my URLs first. And then from there, I would go and I would take a look at it and say, okay, now let's go and add in all the SEO information. In my particular case, this particular project actually already had an existing website up and running in WordPress. And so a lot of the pages were kind of replacements of that. And so what I was able to do was use this over here and put in the existing URL. And then I've got another script that actually goes through that page and copies all the title tags out, all the description tags out, all the open graph tags, etc., etc. So all this was actually pretty much done for me, okay, just by putting in the actual URL itself. So a lot of that was kind of sorted out for me, and so that's nice and fast. And then I went and I added in all the main header sort of images for every single page. I would probably say all in all, it took me about a week and a half to do about 106 pages. And that took a week and a half to put together the whole site as per the client's needs. And the reason why I did it this way was not only that the client wanted a content management system, but also because they wanted 4 different sites to look almost identical. And the 4 sites were like 4 different wedding places, and each of them had a slightly different look and feel. But we were using very similar blocks, different logos, different images, so when it came to then doing their second page or their third page, then we did things a bit differently. But yeah, probably a week and a half to 2 weeks maximum to do 109 pages.
And what about the Wappler side of things when you create the new project? Do you just copy all the server connect stuff across from?
Yeah. Literally, when I create a brand new sort of Wappler project, I take it and I say I only copy out certain things. It's probably easier to show you from a founder perspective. So I create a new project. I make sure it's Node.js. I make sure it's Docker. I put in all the things that I want, like my Bootstrap icons, font awesome, all those sorts of things. I create my user uploads folder. I make sure it's on MariaDB that I want, and then I've got all the usernames and passwords all set, etc. And then I literally take the old website and I copy a couple different things. So the only things that I actually land up copying is I copy the CMS folder. I copy all of those folders pretty much, and I just edit them. So the CMS folder is what you've just been looking at now, which is how I obviously create the content management system. And then from there, I've got my meta filter, which is the first server action that runs, that is like on the server side to pull in all the data correctly. And then I've got the page content one, which, as you can see, it's not a lot of actual server actions. One of them is a sitemap generator. And then the form pages, which each form page was quite unique and needed to go to multiple contacts and et cetera, et cetera. So those are sort of created as almost part of it is dynamic, but the actual form section itself is standard sort of hard coded in there. And then from the config side, I'm literally just taking the roots file, because the roots file contains my page ID A, B, C, D, and it also has the first server action that runs this particular meta filter action. So that's really all that I take from there. And then I take the style sheet from the old one, and that is pretty much it. There was no and then obviously I take almost everything in here and adjust it. I mean, so I'm taking my CMS type of page and my normal index page that I'm showing the end user for the front end website. From a layout perspective, I've got my main page as well as the content management system type of one. And then the partials, which, you can see some of these are really like, that's just the footer, that's the footer navigation. That is the main navigation. That is a page not found type of a page that obviously just looks at the database and says, well, I haven't got any results for this, so it must be not found. The sitemap type page. The rest of these are actually forms pretty much. That one's obviously important, the main sort of header block. Yeah, and the rest are forms. And then the main content is that. I mean, that's pretty much what does everything. And that file is pretty small. I mean, that file could, in essence, run 90% of the website could run on this one block over here. So by repeating primary page content A and showing what's inside primary content B, and then B repeating again and showing what's in C, you get your standard container row column situation of Bootstrap, which can then build out the entire layout along with your ordering. So as long as you've got your order of, where that block actually falls on the page, it works out perfectly.
Brilliant. Yeah, really, really good.
Now, I mean, I have started building for the customer. I didn't really expect the customer to go through this side. So I did do something slightly different for the customer, which was obviously a bit prettier. I think I may still, actually, no, I don't have it up and running there. I think I've got it on a silly site here. But like, this is the start of a play around site that I'm busy working on currently for them. And again, as you can see, it's pretty much a very similar look and feel. I've copied all the data from the database from one of the sites and shoved it in this one. So you can see it's like almost, yeah, that's kind of a starting canvas. And then what I've done here is I've hidden away underneath a keyboard command. So you hit the right sort of keyboard command and this little section here comes up. And now you can click on that and say, okay, I want to edit this header image. You just go and you throw a new header image in there. So let's take a header image of that. And it puts in the file name for you, obviously, according to that. You can change the file name because from an SEO perspective, obviously, a lot of their images are DSC0005. So you can, in essence, change the file name here and it will move it and rename it, etc. You can put in your alternate text and then you can just save the change and literally it'll swap out that header image with the new header image. And the same thing happens with all the rest of the images on the entire page. You know, every image is kind of broken at the moment because obviously I haven't put them on the server because they all need to change. But in essence, I could go over here and say, okay, well, I want to actually put something in there. So let's take this and let's just pop in a few dummy things over here. So throw that one in there. Avatar 2, we'll put in there. Avatar 3, we'll put in there. And I'll replace that, replace that, replace that. As you can see, it automatically chooses the sizes for me. Let's do 4, 5, and 6, just so it actually looks right. 4, 5. Sorry, I'm dragging across 4 monitors here, so I'm trying to find my mouse each time if I look like I'm going weird. Okay, so I do something like that, and when I refresh this page after doing that, you will see now that that is what it actually looks like. Makes sense.
That's, yeah. And the user experience for the person editing the site is brilliant.
Pretty easy. Yeah. And if they want to edit text, they got the same situation. You know, I show an ID, not that I need to show the customer the ID, and I'm not allowing them to edit the ID, but the same thing sort of happens here. I mean, if I want to change just this piece of texture where it comes up with weddings, you know, I could go there and I could say, okay, weddings X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and update just that one block. And when I come back here and refresh this page, yeah, there it is there. And it's all updating live in the database. And obviously this is a proper live Docker type website. Yes, it's a staging type site, but you can kind of see how it works. And if I wanted to copy SEO from an existing website, I could also do that. So in this particular case, let's say I wanted to actually copy this from Wappler, let's say. I'll use them for everything. So I could go and I could set the old URL over there. And in a few moments, it'll tell me what this information is here. So now you can see the title is Wappler Community. The description is the Visual Web and App Creator. They've pretty much got nulls on everything else. I can copy that across to the new site at this point. And obviously right now you can see that the title of this page was Warwick House Book Now for 2023. If I refresh this now it's Wappler Community. So I can steal the SEO side from existing sites. So everything just makes it a little bit faster as I go. And obviously I can close that.
Wonderful.
Any questions?
Does anybody else have any questions? All right, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that's unique on that I haven't seen before is the your auto-generated sitemap. Can you
Yes.
show us what that looks like and explain how how you accomplish that?
Yeah, it literally in the actual database side of things. I just take whenever a new page is created, it adds it to this meta page creation table over here. And I've got this little thing here that says MPC no sitemap, which means that I don't want this particular page in my sitemap, or I do want it in my sitemap. And so I'm just doing a database query against this table and saying, show all the URLs. You know, every URL, I know what it is because I can see that there's URL ID A, and there's B, and there's C, and there's D. And those will all link back to URL A, B, C, and D from this side. You know what I mean? Yes, I only added one URL for now, but if these were all full, they would all then show everything. And so obviously if I went to something like this and I went /sitemap, of course that's a dot, not a /. If I learn how to type and then type /sitemap, then you'll see that those are all the pages currently that are in that particular part. It's not a perfect sitemap. It's not a XML sitemap ready to be submitted to Google or anything, but it is something. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a great start. Wow.
Yeah, and it does actually auto-generate the XML too. It does it runs a schedule, and every 24 hours, I think, it goes through and it generates the other one. But you know, it's not perfect. Every single page has the same priority. They're all set to priority 1. I think I added some smartness to it and said for the first 5 pages that it finds in the database, the lowest 5 IDs, make those all priority 1 and make everything else 0.7 or something to that effect. But it's certainly not a proper sort of a system that's actually generating the exact right things, you know. And then it picks up the canonical URLs. Yeah, not yet. I'll get there.
But you could easily add another field to each page record.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could certainly make it where I could manually do it. It's just because obviously the client is adding their own pages every couple of days. You know, it puts something there at least for now, so the pages are getting indexed and etc.
So how do you generate the XML from that?
There is a Wappler little thing over here, which is XML1. So there is an actual one here somewhere. Where is it? Sitemap pages. You can see that's a standard little database query that's just looking for MPC title, linking up the names. And you can see here I've left joined onto URL 4. And then I've left joined to URL 3 and left joined to URL 2 and left joined to URL 1 again, because obviously I don't know if some of those are going to have or not. And then just added some conditions to it to make sure that the no sitemap is null and not 1, and the redirect is null. And then that auto generates that. I'm just trying to find where the sitemap file is. It's not on this dummy site at the moment. Yeah, I'll have to show you, but literally it is just a sorry, that opened on another page, obviously, and I can't move it for some weird reason. But yeah, you've got import XML file and export XML file directly in your server actions. So I just export an XML file to a directory. That's all that I do. And I take the
Wappler.
data that generates. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a content management system, anything the likes of a WordPress sort of thing, but you know, it's much more structured than that, and the customer can't really like completely change the look and feel of every page and do whatever they want. But you know, it's not really something I wanted them to be able to do anyway. I wanted them to stick within the corporate branding as it needed to be, etc. So it worked very well for this particular situation, but at least they can create new pages, delete pages, edit the content, add new blocks, remove blocks, swap blocks around, so they can pretty much do what they need to do on a daily basis. Anything more intense, they'll contact me on some platform and I'll make the change on my end.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. The way your mind works, it's amazing. Your hands can keep up with it.
Thank you.
My compliments. My compliments.
Yeah, most people don't know what my mind's doing. Just ask Ben on the forum. Every time I ask a question, it's like, "What are you doing?"
But it is a little frightening, I have to admit. But I love the results.
Yeah, always got a different idea. For sure.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour again. We try to limit these to an hour so we can because we value everybody's time. I'm going to call out one more time. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. With hearing none, I would want to thank Paul again for contributing his generous amount of time and talent. This is absolutely amazing. I'm quite sure this will be another popular meetup on YouTube. I'd like to invite any viewers of this video to join us on the first Friday of every month at 4 p.m. Netherlands time. That's where Wappler is located. And so we meet the first Friday of every month. The Wapplers out there that would like to present a favorite feature or a new feature in Wappler, I would love to hear from you. The most popular videos we have are the ones where we have demonstrations like we had today. And I thank everybody for coming, and I wish you, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and I wish you all a very safe and prosperous new year.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Bye.